You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneSona Sports, live with DJ Mattie C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneSona Sports Live. We are back, yes, episode 109. 109 episodes of MinneSona Sports Live. Can you believe it? I can't. Well, I can, to be honest with you. But without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Mattie C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Mattie C, etc., 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 and all the way from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Vold, the Shield. Shield, what's happening?
Well, of any of the things that have gone wrong today with this life that I am living, at least I have this to look back on. It's great to be here once again, and I'm looking forward to another great show as always.
Another great show as always. It came down to the wire for you, Voldy, but you here,
really did.
And you're ready to go. We got some things to discuss. Things
we
that end in disappointment for our favorite sports teams, and we'll get to that in a little bit. A bitter end to the Wild season. And we're going to go under the microscope here with RoccoBaldelli. Callahan School of Logic is tonight. We're going over the Minnesota sports disappointments, and you can check out for yourself. It's not great. All the four major sports right there. Poor guys, BrettFavre, Miguel Sano, Kirill Kaprizov, Kevin Fiala, and obviously Karl Anthony Towns, a.k.a. Cat. There's a lot going on with that, that's for sure. So we'll get into that with Gallant School of Logic. But we got ARA tonight. We got some really good ones tonight, I'll say. Especially a lot of controversy. There's a lot of, it's like controversy season or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of guys chirping a little bit. But that's why it's fun. It makes good for good content. So we're going to get into it. But without further ado, let's get it going with some Tater Tot. Hot take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it's time for some Tater Tot hot take. And we start off with the Minnesota Wild. Unfortunately, Minnesota Wild lose the series to the St. Louis Blues. They lose in 6, which we're not happy about. And, you know, if Zim was still around, he'd be doing he's cussing. We got our guy Coop cussing right here as well. A lot of F me, F this, screw this, we hate this. We do. It pains us. It pains us here at Minnesota Sports Live. But without further ado, there's a lot of question marks going into this offseason, and there's been a lot of speculation of what the Wild are going to do. Now, they don't have the best cap situation right now, especially with the Parise and Suter contracts still kind of lingering for a little while, I should say. And there's a lot of guys that want some new contracts too, so there's a lot of deals with that. But before we kind of get into that, Voldy, you know, this series, I feel like, and Zoners, please chime in if you feel like this too. I feel like this was a missed opportunity. To say that this was a complete waste of a season, I wouldn't say that. And we all know that this is still kind of a process, and you know, we still got Kaprizov and had some injuries, and you know, there's been the question of, well, what if we started Talbot instead of Fleury, all that stuff. This series against the Blues, Voldy, I mean, what are your overall thoughts with this whole series? And I mean, do you think that the Wild, you know, they lost the series? I mean, they obviously lose the series, but like, would you say that this one hurts a little bit? I mean, it always hurts, but at the same time, I mean, does this one, compared to other losses against, like, you know, Chicago or Vegas or Nashville or something like that? I mean, where would you rank this out of the whole playoff losses for the Wild?
Boy, that's a tough one. Yeah. I think really much of the disappointment comes from the fact that the Wild this year, they had some expectations, but like, I would say no expectations would be kind of the way that I would put it as well. I'm sure, you know, we all started off the year too thinking that, you know, this team was going to make a run, especially with the players that they had coming back, and the year that they got off to a hot start, ran into a bit of a slump, as every team does, and they played really hot towards the end of the regular season too to get that home ice advantage. Well, that didn't really matter because St. Louis took it and won the series in 6. Overall, I would definitely rank this one definitely top 5 in playoff losses. It's tough to call. Yeah. I mean, the best out of it all, I know getting swept in the Western Conference, you know, in the semifinals was definitely not a good one in 03, 04, I think it was. Yeah. That might have been that year that happened as well. I know that we're going to talk about it more coming up here with School of Logic and everything, but just the amount of production they got. They had the best record in franchise history. Kirill Kaprizov, most points scored, most goals scored. Zuccarello set the single-season record for assists, had multiple players with 30-plus goals this season. You pick up Marc-Andre Fleury at the trade deadline. You have Cam Talbot, who started off sluggish and was bounced around a little bit, and he ended up kind of tightening things up from the start, or at least tighten things up once the flower power came through into the Wild locker room. And it's just disappointing. It's because they started at the beginning of the year, and we all know the line that Billy G threw out there. This is about winning, with a few more choice words thrown in there as well. And that's what he wanted out of the team. And it got off to that kind of start with it being, this is about winning. And unfortunately, winning did work out to the start, but ultimately didn't come down to the finish as well. It was just, it was disappointing from the fact that with the amount of play they had, there were a lot of glaring issues if you really broke it down, if you really got to brass tacks.
Exactly. And, it's disappointing in the sense that they weren't able to, they did right the ship, but the thing is they had a record-breaking season. And them not getting past the first round is disappointing because, honestly, I thought they were the better team. I get that you had some injuries. I get that, you made some decisions that you really wouldn't, that some people question. But sometimes you just got to let things go. You gotta let things, develop and whatnot. But the guys that stepped up in the regular season didn't step up in the playoffs. And that is quite evident with these past those last couple games. We relied on Kirill, and no one else stepped up when they should have. Fiala was kind of missing a little bit. He didn't have a bad year, but the young guys like Boldy and Erickson, he had a hot streak, but then he cooled off a little bit. So it's disappointing in the sense that those guys didn't step up because we needed those guys to step up. Yeah. And they just didn't come through. And that's something that they have to look at in the offseason and say, okay, who can we rely on when we don't have when Kirill is either not playing well or we're using him too much because they'll key in on Kirill. They'll try and, frustrate. It's hard to frustrate the guy, but they got to find some consistency. And they can find consistency with going into this offseason. Now, I know people want to look at it and say, well, what are they going to do with the cap situation? Well, that's why you hired Bill Guerin to be your GM, to figure things out like this, make the trades, make the cuts if need be. There's going to be cuts. There's going to be guys that they're going to sign. There's going to be guys that they're going to trade. It's going to come down to that for the Minnesota Wild. Now, if you want to say that the Wild are going to, take a step back next season and, they can't afford to. That's the thing. They can't afford to because you want to keep getting better. You want to, make the playoffs. You want to make a run in the playoffs. We can't have that happen where we go into the first round and we get beat. Okay? Swept, whatever, lose a close one. They need to get past the first round and get to a point where this is a team that we can believe in. And I think that still is. They are very competitive. They're good. They are. They're very good. But they had a chance to take down the Blues, and they didn't. And especially, I think it started, was it Game 5 that it was at home, and, we were up, and then they tied it, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Goes into Game 6, and it snowballed from there. So it's frustrating that they weren't able to get it done. Disappointing, but there's a lot of questions here. So let's quick get to the offseason stuff here, Voldy, and then we'll get into talking about the Twins here. So there's a lot of question marks. Obviously, let's start with the big one. Let's start with Kevin Fiala. I personally think that they should hold on to Fiala because I think he's still a young and very good player. One of the guys that was really hot towards the end of the season and, somewhat into the playoffs, but we needed a little bit more production. People want to say trade. People want to say just let him go in free agency. People want to say let's try to find a way to keep him. Now, Billy G did say, Voldy, that it's tough to say if Kevin's coming back or not. But let me ask you that, and the Zoners too. Do you think that Kevin Fiala is going to be in Minnesota Wild on the Minnesota Wild here next year and beyond?
Oh, that's a tough one
Yeah.
because I can certainly see it going both ways. Because I could see Billy Guerin looking at the roster that he has and some of the youth coming up, be like, "We want this to happen. We are going to go in a different direction." Could I see him getting traded? Absolutely. I could see Billy Guerin trying to wheel him for a couple prospects, maybe a goaltending prospect or something like that as well, with a couple of young forwards. At the same time, I could see them shelling out a little bit of coin, but it's definitely going to cost them a little bit more than probably what they're comfortable paying because of the fact that they've got so much cap hit already with the Suter and Parisi contracts. And, of course, the deal that they just signed this year with Kirill the Thrill, too. He's going to want that Kirill Thrill money right there with Fiala, too. It's going to be tough because somebody else could definitely give him that big time, Patrick Mahomes FU money type stuff, too. Is he going to be a wild? Is he going to be in a wild sweater? I'm going to say no.
All right.
I'm going to say he's not going to be in a wild sweater this next year.
A lot of people are saying that too, so I don't fully say that you're off on that because I think it's a coin flip for myself. I want him back, but
Me too.
It's tough because we need consistency. We need guys that keep staying hot. And I know there's some down, people have some down, players have down games and things like that, but I just want to see Fiala keep doing it at a consistent basis. And he's going to want money. Like you said, he's going to want more money, but I feel like this is why we hired Bill Guerin, is to make a deal, go with the management, and try to figure out something. And if you don't figure it out, then do what you need to do in order to get some players. Because the Wild need another center. I think we've been saying that for 4 years now. Because I think that's kind of a missing piece that we haven't been able to get. Because we need it. I mean, it's a tough conference too. I mean, don't forget that. But I would like to see Fiala back, but it's kind of a coin flip for me. If he goes, then yeah, I understand. But at the same time, it's going to come down to what Billy G can do and maybe work some magic. Now, let's not forget that the Vikings, not saying, but I'm comparing a situation. Anthony Barr, we thought Anthony Barr was gone a couple of years ago. He was going to the Jets, but then he decided to come back, and they worked out a deal. I'm not saying it's impossible, so I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed. And I think that would be big for the Wild. But another thing, too, is everyone is asking about the Dumba stuff, okay? Now, people are like, well, no team is going to want $6 million, for a guy that's starting to kind of decline a little bit. A guy that kind of just has struggled in recent years, too. A lot of inconsistency, but he's got a hell of a shot, that's for one. But, Voldy, do you think that this was the last year we see with Matt Dumba? Or do you think he'll stay and then play out his contract and then the Wild will move on from him? What do you think?
I've been kind of saying this the last couple of years. I think the Wild should have traded him while the stock was high because I know that, I think some of his best years might be behind him. Sure. It's not like he's a terrible player, but it's just he's not the Dumba he was 2-3 years ago. There's been a lot of change, a lot of turnover, and a lot of differences that have led to him being where he's at right now. Is he a serviceable player? Absolutely. Could you still get something for him? Yeah. Could you still get him, decent prospects and a really good turnaround that you probably would have gotten 2-3 years ago? No. I think he's on the back end of his career, and he certainly is still worth something. It's just not going to be what you wanted, again, 2-3 years ago. I could definitely see the Wild trying to move on from Dumba, or at least see what's out there that people would be interested in.
Now, according to my Wild insider, he says that
According to my sources,
at this particular time, that no team wants to take on his contract. And you're right. You're right, Voldy. I think a lot of teams are gonna look at that and say, "Hell no, I ain't gonna take that." But then again, That's why you sweeten the deal. That's why you can be able to sweeten the deal to a team.
You're going to have to throw in somebody else, I feel
Yeah.
like. You're going to have to throw in, like, Boldy or somebody, unfortunately.
Ooh, that I
take
hope
that
not.
contract,
Yeah.
you're going to have to really sweeten the pot.
Yeah, you'd have to really sweeten the pot with that. That's the thing. And it's just there's a lot of inconsistency, and I think maybe his best years are behind him. And, he's really picked some stupid fights, too. Let's be honest. It's gotten to that point where if you can't trade him, just have him play out his contract and see what you can get later on here and go from there. So we'll see. A lot of other things need to be better with the Wild. I'll briefly mention Dino said that the power play literally sucked all year. I feel like we say this every year with the Minnesota Wild. Their power play hasn't been good. What do they have to do to make it better? You have to find something. I mean, this is key. You got to score on the. I mean, look at how the Blues did well on the power play. They were fantastic. They were one of the best teams in NHL on the power play. So that's in the offseason. We'll see how they can bounce back and figure that out. But I don't know.
I have no idea either.
I don't know. I have no words. That's why we let Dino and the coaching staff take care of that. So. Speaking of coaching, there's been some interesting conversations I've been seeing on the Twitter sphere, Voldy. One involving RoccoBaldelli. There's a lot of people that are not fans of RoccoBaldelli, and there's some things that I definitely disagree on, and I still think that Minnesota Twins should look at somebody else as manager because there's a lot of questionable things that he has done as manager, and I don't necessarily agree with. He tried to clarify why he didn't put Buxton in when they had an opportunity to win a game. I think it was against the White Sox or something like that, or whatever. Or no, was it Boston or whatever it was?
Right.
They lost 3-2 in 10 innings, I think, and. He decided not to have Buxton pinch hit, even though Buxton's been fantastic. He's batting about 250, 11, 12, or I think it's 12 home runs that he's had. So he's been great. He's been as advertised. But there's a lot of frustration with RoccoBaldelli, kind of just like, oh, it's my decision. I didn't want him. He backed it up by saying he still deals with some swelling in the knee. He had a knee injury recently, and that has come back several times this year. The type of thing you cannot play through and play every day. It's not something that's possible right now, but we think the plan that we have, this is going to allow him to get back to full strength or close to full strength where he can play almost every day. I hope this isn't what we have to do the whole year. It's not what Buck wants to do the whole year. I'll tell you right now, but for right now, it's what we have to do. It very well could be, but here's where I'm going to challenge that too. If you have a perfectly, I'm comparing it to a situation in 2020 when they were in the playoffs, and I want your thoughts on this too, Zoners, Voldy. You have a healthy pitcher in Jose Barrios, and he is mowing down batters left and right against the Astros. And you decide to take him out of the sixth inning. And then you put in some other pitchers, and they completely they win the game because you made that decision. Now, with Buxton, yeah, he's had some injuries. Yeah, he's dealing with stuff. But what's wrong with pinch hitting? I mean, going in, doing a pinch hit, and who knows? He might tie the game up. Give it a shot. See what happens. Right. I mean, that's a risk that you should take. He does not want to take risks, and that's why I think this is holding them back. So, Voldy, your thoughts?
I would rather have Byron Buxton in for game 162 than game 35 of the season. We know the history of Byron. He's already been hurt twice this year. He's already been out multiple times with the significant amount of injuries. We know last year he got it off to that hot start. He got hurt. He missed 80% of the rest of the season as well. So, with that being said, I understand the frustration. I would like Byron Buxton to be put into bubble wrap every time after the game as well to ensure a proper safety to and from the ballpark. But beyond that, I'm not a big numbers guy, and I can understand where Baldelli is looking at here with the fact that, with them losing, especially with the opportunity that they had with him to pinch hit. But again, one at bat, one game, the way that they're playing right now isn't going to make the difference in May. It's going to make a difference in September and October when they're playing for big games as well. I don't really know what to think of the whole situation because I understand the fact that we want Byron Buxton to play. We want him to go out there. We want him to hit 40 home runs. We want him to steal 1,000 bases. We want him to throw out 50 guys at the plate as well and crash into walls, make diving catches, take runs off the board as well while getting their team not only to the postseason with a division title and a representative in the World Series and a World Series too, but he needs to be healthy to do that. If he misses a pinch hit appearance or two with an opportunity to tie the game in the early goings of the season, I'm okay with that. I just don't understand why this continues to be under the microscope. And look, if I'm RoccoBaldelli, I would start thinking about maybe, do I really need this kind of pressure in my life with all these people second guessing what I'm just trying to do, and let the players play and let everybody else, just let them do their thing. If that also really speaks to the fact too that there isn't a lot of trust in the rest of the team, if you're going to automatically go, oh, Byron Buxton's on the bench, why don't we let him pinch hit too, even though he's scheduled for an off day of maintenance day. If he can go, he can go. And I would ultimately put into Byron's hands on that decision too, if he wants to pinch hit or not.
Yeah.
And if it's, Baldelli saying that he shouldn't, then maybe the fact that there's something going on, something wrong with Baldelli, that he's not letting his guy do his thing too.
There's a lot to unpack with it, and I think the issue I have is that the sabermetrics and analytics type of situation, but this isn't that type of situation. This is a little different with injuries and things like that, unless it wouldn't surprise me if they had sabermetrics and analytics on injuries, on if they should play or not, whatever. But I get the argument of you'd rather have him pinch hit game 162 compared to game 30, 40, whatever it is.
Right.
But there comes a time where if he's good to go, what's the issue? Does it crush the confidence of the other players? Well, to be honest, I mean, if he did pinch hit, maybe it'd make a difference. Maybe he'd win. But Nick Gordon struck out actually from that in that game, and granted, it's a situation where a lot of fans have looked at it and said, screw it. I'm done with Baldelli. I've been done with Baldelli for a little bit too. Now, I'm not going to say that this is an awful decision. I'm not going to say that this is he's going to be fired or anything like that because he won't be. I still think that they should look at how they're doing. I mean, if they have a monumental collapse, I mean, he can't be protected. He can't be protected, and it comes down to this team's got talent. They got to follow through on it. They just they smashed the hell out of the A's today. I think it was like 14-4 or something like that. So
yep.
There's a lot of positivity to it, and I hope Rocco proves me wrong. I really do, but there's some decisions that he's made that cause me to I don't like this. So we'll see. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but he's been under the microscope, not just from me, but other people as well. So hopefully it'll turn out better than what we think. So. And
the hits just keep on coming for the Twins, too. Just found out Chris Paddock underwent Tommy John surgery. Done for the year.
There you go. I mean, that's
Great.
just bad. You can't do – I mean, to be honest, you can't do anything about that. That's nobody's –
No.
I mean – that's not Rocco's fault or anything like that. It's just...
So when does Kenta Maeda come back?
Yeah,
what? TikTok.
Where's that? I mean, seriously, where the heck is that?
I'm gonna assume no news is good news in his recovery and rehab. So
I guess I don't know. This damn team, I tell you. Anyway, we're going to move on, and we're going to hit up Callahan School of Logic. There's been a lot of disappointment with Minnesota sports, and it's with our 4 major sports teams mostly. But we all have respect for everyone else who's outside of that. But it's been tough. It's been tough for Minnesota sports fans. Easy A says Molitor should not have gotten fired because of managing a bad team. I don't know. You can make the argument that he didn't do a great job at managing, but I mean there's some good stuff, but also I think who knows? Maybe he disagreed with the poll ads. There's a lot of unknowns with that, but
right.
I don't know. But anyway, with Callahan School of Logic, it involves the Twins too because they've had their fair share of bad things. But then again, they're the major sports team that's won 2 World Series, 1987, 1991. But guess what? I wasn't born that time. Voldy, I don't think you were born around that time.
No, I was not born at that time.
Right. So we don't get to experience something like that. One of the major 4 that win a World Series, that win a Super Bowl, that win an NBA Finals, that win a Stanley Cup. It's been tough. It's been tough being a Minnesota sports fan. We're going to go over it, but I want you guys to remember. Is that something that could happen in the near future? Is there something, is it possible? Could it be possible? Let's find out. Let's go to Callahan School of Logic.
Class is in session. You're enrolled in Callahan's School of Logic.
All right, zoners, Voldy, grab your pens, grab your pads of paper, sit up in your desk. It's time for Callahan School of Logic, Minnesota sports disappointment. And let's give you our graphic here. The state, Minnesota sports, the state of disappointment. We've been through a lot, and it's been a tough road for Minnesota sports fans, especially for the people that have been sports fans all their life. Papa Callahan's seen it through it. Jimbo Vold's seen it through it. Mama Callahan, Jane Bo's seen it. It's been tough. It's been tough. There's been a lot of Twitter talk about this list. Recent Minnesota sports misery by Will Radigat. And it's very telling. It's very telling to see a lot of these failures, and there's a lot of them. So I'm going to highlight a few. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to highlight a couple here. So 1991, the Winds win their second World Series. So hey, things are looking good for our sports club there. But after that, 1992. Let's just go right after they won the World Series. Let's go to the Wolves. Worst team in the NBA. Lose lottery and draft with Shaq and Mourning are available. They take Christian Laettner at 3.
Christian Laettner.
Yeah,
Come
Christian
on.
Laettner. The guy was just a bust in general. A lot of going on. Let's stick with the Wolves here. Or no, let's go to the North Stars, actually. They moved to Dallas. Thanks, Norm Green. F you, man.
Thanks, Norm.
A lot of people hate Norm Green. So no hockey for Minnesota for a little bit. Then let's go to 96. The Wolves draft Ray Allen, but immediately trade him for Stefan Marbury, which did work out okay, but then he leaves because he wanted his own team.
Yep.
Just think about it. If he would have stayed, him and KG together, and then added some more pieces.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say that they won a ship, but it's very close. 1998, the Vikings, 15-1. One of the best Vikings seasons ever. Lose the NFC Championship game. Gary Anderson, first missed field goal of the year. And the next year, 41 don't it. So we got that going for us. Let's move up a little bit. 2003, the Twins let Big Papi David Ortiz leave for the Red Sox.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. So we got that going for us. Also in 2003, Nate Poole, touchdown, keeps the Vikings out of the playoffs. Packers make it instead. Kick to the Cajones there. So that's
real
not
quick
going.
on that.
Yes.
Isn't that still the cringiest, most hilariously awful call of Paul Allen?
Yeah. Yep.
And it because you look at it now and
No!
you need to say no.
Yeah.
It was Nate Poole. You have to get back. There's nobody within 20 yards of the end zone. I literally listen to it every once in a while. Now I laugh at it.
Yeah.
And at the time, and even now, it still hurts. It still hurts.
It still hurts because I do remember, I think I listened to it on the radio, and my dad just kind of shook his head, and he's like, well, I've been dealing with this for years, so I'm used to it. All right, let's move a little bit, move on a little bit here. Well, let's start with the Twins. 2003, they won to the division. They lose to the Yankees in ALDS. Now let's fast forward to the next year. Twins win the division in 2004. Lose to the Yankees in the ALDS. Dominated.
Huh.
So we got that going for us. 2005, Randy Moss traded to Oakland. Oh, the Vikings get the 7th pick, though, Voldy Zoners.
Really good.
Guess who they
really
got?
good.
Troy Williamson.
Old Drops Morrison.
Yep. Not good. 2006, Twins win the division, AL Cy Young, MVP, and batting champ.
Okay.
Swept by the A's in the first round. So that's going well.
Oakland.
Yeah, not good. 2007.
Oakland.
Yeah. 2007, KG gets traded to the Celtics. Has beefed with Glenn Taylor ever since.
KG got his ring, though. I mean.
He did. I mean, it's very deserved. I mean, he deserved it, but we blame the franchise for effing that one up.
Yep.
Let's take a look at 2008. Wild win the first division title, lose to Avs in the first round. So we're already getting to the first round, and we're just doing. All right, let's go. Let's go to 2009. The Wolves draft Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn over Steph Curry, DeMar DeRozan.
The lasting memory I have from that draft is Roy Williams, at the time was head coach of North Carolina, sitting at the table with his players or whatever. When the Timberwolves picked their 4th straight guard, he's like, 4? That's their 4th guard they've drafted.
Oh, man. Ah! Oh, my gosh. So then let's go to the Twins in the same year. Win the division, game 163. Classic game, by the way. But swept by the Yankees and ALDS.
Yep.
It gets even worse.
Yep.
That same year, Voldy. We're saving this one because we have to. We have to save this one. 2009, the Vikings choke against Saints in NFC Championship game. 8 fumbles, 12 men on the field. Horrific late Favre interception, but I combat that by saying a team cheated in order to win a Super Bowl, hence why the Favre jersey is up today because of disappointment, but that's for another time. We'll wrap a couple of these up because a lot of these are recent memory. I mean, 38-7 NFC Championship game, Vikings, Case Keenum, all that fun stuff.
Hey, shout out to Derek Williams.
Yeah, Derek Williams,
friend of the program, if you will. Went to high school with Cody Nicholas Tavares Curtis at La Mirada High School.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
there you go.
That's a very famous high school, by the way, too. Mm-hmm. Vikings draft Christian Ponder, 2011. Nice. Interceptions over yonder, and then you mentioned Wolves' worst team in the NBA, lose lottery, and Kyrie, Derek Williams at number 2, didn't pan out to what we wanted. Walsh shanking the in the wild card round against the Seahawks, should have won that game. Twins blow a 3-0 lead to the Yankees in AL wild card game, especially after a record-breaking season too. Disappointing. And then we all know. Most recent memory to Vikings lose 8-score games, set a record for points allowed in the final 2 minutes of halves. Most fun Wolves team since 2004. blows 3 double-digit fourth-quarter leads in first round, lose to the Grizzlies, and then, obviously, the Wild. Talked about that. All right, so let's get to the task at hand here, and then we're going to get to the zoners on their thoughts of this Minnesota disappointment. Will it ever end? At some point. In the near future?
Hope so.
We hope so, but I don't think it's likely. And it feels like a curse. Are we cursed? Probably. I mean, there's something there's something that they look at these franchises and they say, I hate Minnesota. Why do you hate Minnesota? What has Minnesota ever done to these sports teams? I mean, what have they done to the NFL, NHL, MLB? You know, in recent years for MLB, I should say. But it's gotten to the point where it's just like, I mean, are we just cursed? We just can't have a major sports team win something. I mean, I hope the Vikings win a Super Bowl. I want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl someday, but you know, it's just reality of the situation. I mean, anything that isn't supposed to go wrong has gone wrong for Minnesota sports teams. Let's be honest. You know, a bounty gate, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Gary Anderson, the most accurate kicker in the NFL, misses one key field goal and loses the game. And then we lose the game. This state deserves so much more, Voldy. You know, we've had bad leadership. We've had controversial draft picks. Wild. Or, no, not Wild. Excuse me. Timberwolves. Vikings. A lot of bad draft picks. There's been some bad ones. Players, very controversial. Jimmy Butler. Percy Harvin. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, it's crazy. Choking is the common phrase.
Yeah.
You know, it's the common phrase for Minnesota sports, and it's proven in most of these instances. But like I said, we deserve so much more. So much more. You know, we love these teams, and we want them to go to that promised land. We just can't get it. If one of these 4 major sports wins during my lifetime, the whole frickin' state should have the day off from work, from school for kids, and things like that. And we celebrate like we've never celebrated before.
Hell yeah.
This has to happen. This is what we deserve. But guess what? If it doesn't, then we got to pass the torch to the next generation and pray they get to experience the excitement. I hope Case does. I really do.
I hope so
he
too.
Does. I really do. But then again, you know, that's just how it is. That's sports. There's only one team. There's only one team that can win it all. Okay? And unfortunately, the cards have not been in our favor. But I say this. I will say this to Minnesota sports fans. It's going to happen. It will happen. One way or another, one of these franchises is going to win a Super Bowl, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals, World Series. One of those 4 will win at some point. Okay? I don't want to say all doom and gloom. I don't want to say that it's never going to happen. You're never going to win something. It's going to happen. I can't promise that'll happen during our lifetime, but it's going to happen. For the love of God, just one! Just one! During my lifetime, just one! I want to experience it. I need it. We need it. We got to party like no other. Whoever wins a major sports franchise wins the gold. Okay, we want to see it. We want to see it, especially a Super Bowl. I want to see that. We have to. We have to, like Easy A saying right here. Yes, like Mardi Gras. Celebrate like Mardi Gras. Okay, so we deserve so much more. The logic in all this is that we're going to keep coming back for more. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We are coming back for more. It's going to happen, but I can't promise it's going to be during our lifetime, but there's some promising things. The Wild, definitely are looking good. The Wolves have gotten up there. The Vikings look good this year. I mean, there's some things we got to fix on defense, but there's that. And then the Twins, well, there's some promising stuff there. Just one of you. Just one of you. One of the four. Come on. We need it. Come on. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I look at this whole situation. Maybe it's because we care too much.
Yeah.
That's got to be the issue. If we stopped caring and we put no effort into being Minnesota sports fans whatsoever, then they will start winning. That's the issue, I think, at hand. Because you look at everybody else. You look at all the other franchises, all the recent teams that have won. Fans only show up when the team's playing. The loyal Minnesota fans, they are through it good, bad, ugly, indifferent.
Yep.
Die hard, ride or die from day one on out. Maybe that's a new avenue we need to look at. Stop caring, team starts winning, then you can start caring again. We need to be more fair weather fans is the issue. And another thing, I know that we were talking about the four major sports. It's just sad that we went through a time with Minnesota sports that we didn't fully, truly get to recognize the pure awesomeness and the greatness that was that run for the Minnesota Lynx, unfortunately. And it doesn't get the same respect as all the other four sports because of the fact we had the greatest and one of the greatest,
Dynasty.
if not the greatest WNBA player of all time. We had Maya Moore. And she did it all. And then she just left. She just went out. She did the MJ and is still left. She gone. She won Olympic gold, national championship. She won all the titles, state titles, WNBA championships, rookie of the year, MVP. She did it all. And then she just left. And she still could have came back, but she's still gone. And it's sad. Even, I think, they came out with, the top 25 greatest WNBA players of all time, and at least 4 of them were Lynx players.
Yeah.
A quarter of 20% of the greatest players of all time were on one team. And some of them are still active. Sylvia Fowles is still getting it done. Simone Augustus, who recently retired. Obviously, Lindsay Whalen in there. Maya Moore, too. All fantastic players. But getting back, talking about all the disappointment that we've seen, again, we just got to stop caring. We just need to stop. We need to stop caring. We'll talk about it and be like, meh, that's a shame. Or when they're good, be like, yeah, it's great. Let's do it. Let's talk more about it. But until that happens, we just got to stop. We just got to stop caring. That's the issue. Basically,
we just don't watch any of it and just let it all go. And whatnot, and just crack open a drink, I think that's the best way to approach it. But it is so addictive. It is so addictive with these franchises, and it's it's never gonna change, and it's never gonna change for us to stop, or we're gonna keep caring no matter what. I mean, especially after. I mean, it took me so long. It took me 2 weeks to get over that 2009 game with the Minnesota Vikings because that was a team of destiny, man. That was a team of destiny. I think Ben Weaver was even quoted that a lot of players that he was friends with on the Colts, they thought we were going to run over the Colts that year. He brings that up every now and then when given the chance, be like, man, the Colts would not have been ready for us. No. I mean, Adrian, but then again, we questioned the health of Favre. He was, he was a target. They would have had 2 weeks off, so that would have probably helped. Yeah, that's the thing. But it was pretty bad. I mean, he was beat to hell. It was crazy. And, Greg Williams is a piece of crap, so there's that too. Yep. But we'll get into that another time. I don't want to get too ramped up because there's a lot to go with that. But, there's been a lot of disappointment, but I want to give our zoners and Minnesota sports fans some hope. The teams are looking good right now, and we just need to keep improving with these teams. And I think there's a lot of positive things that can happen. The Vikings, Wild, Twins are looking good. I mean, there's positivity. So let's keep building that. Let's keep building that. So fingers crossed. All right. That'll do it for Callahan School of Logic. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. We got some ARAs to get to. There's been some very interesting things that have been happening. A lot of chit-chat going on involving our guy, Pat Bev. A lot of chit-chat about Drew Brees. Oh, great. I want to talk about Drew Brees. Yay. No, I'm just kidding. And then XFL, DeshaunWatson, JackNicklaus. Oh, man. We got a lot of good ones for this week. So let's get it going with some Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we start off with the NBA and the offseason that is going to be quite interesting now that Pat Bev is making his presence well known with all his unsavory comments in the postseason realm that continues on. Talking about with all of the accolades and, well, now taking it into more perspective that Pat Bev is literally trying to make everybody hate him and the Minnesota Timberwolves all at once. As you know, he's been on a few of the daytime sports talk shows, most recently on Get Up as well, talking about his on and off again feud that he has with Chris Paul after the collapse that was the not Seattle, but the Phoenix Suns. That's what I was trying to get to
all
as
good.
well, with talking about how his hatred, I guess, for Chris Paul, talking about how he needs to be more relegated to the bench and stop pretending that he's a starter as well, as that's drawn some response from some of his cohorts as well. Damian Lillard responding back to the likes of Pat Bev and all his comments too. And the funny thing as well is he's also going after the big dogs as well, going after Kevin Durant and all the other guys out there that are trying to throw, or at least Pat Bev's trying to throw everybody under the bus too. If we look at some of these comments, and if I could actually find some of them, it would be even more hilarious to talk about.
Oh, sure.
You've probably seen them more than me itself. Mm-hmm. But is it absurd or approved? Do you think it's absurd or approved the comments made by Pat Bev, and this also being the spark to turn the Timberwolves into the villains of the NBA?
Well, I think this is something that he's going to give you his honest opinion, and he'll tell you how he feels. There is this ongoing beef with him and Chris Paul. I do like Chris Paul. Don't get me wrong. I've really liked Chris Paul for a while. But whatever it is, those two they don't get along. And, I think a lot of these NBA players are like, oh, he's talking like he's a starter, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Or Katie says, get him off TV. Don't do this. What does it say about you guys? I mean, KD complains a lot. He goes to Twitter. He has some controversial press conferences, too. So what's he complaining about? Damian Lillard, big fan of him, too. I mean, I've never had any ill will towards him, and he gives his opinion. But guess what? I disagree with his opinion on Pat Bev. Matt Barnes kind of didn't like that he's talking all negative on TV, yada, yada, yada. But guess what? If you listen to the whole thing, a lot of these guys like to just read the headline and say, okay, that's enough for me. I listened to what he said after, he says, CP3.
Count me in on reading the headline part. That's just me.
Yeah. Basically, if you listen to what he said, after he said, I'm not afraid of CP. That's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, I don't see any controversy with that. CP3 sucks. He's terrible. He's just awful. He didn't say that. He just said, I'm not afraid of him. And I think he's a Hall of Famer. He said that. He says he's a Hall of Famer. He's a great player. But people don't fear him right now. So what's the issue with people getting mad at Pat Bev for that? Now, It's got my stamp of approval. And the reason why it's got my stamp of approval is it's got people talking. If you want him off TV, if you want him to... Silence is the best way to approach it. But guess what? You're feeding him more. And this is the reaction that Pat Bev wants. This is exactly what he wants. Get him off TV. Well, guess what? ESPN was like, screw that. He's gonna give us a lot of content. And guess what? Those players are giving that to him. So yeah, paint him out to be the villain. Go ahead. But guess what? He is a great defender, man. He's good. Mm-hmm. He has locked up. Ja Morant, before he had his spurts and whatnot, but he was contained. And when Pat Bev was guarding him, he didn't do much. So there's a lot of positivity there. So if guys want to be mad at him, fine, whatever. Guess what? It's more fuel to the fire. And if you want him to shut up, well, beat him. Beat him at his own game. So just my humble opinion on it. So let's got my stamp of approval. I think it gives the Wolves a lot of looking at, villains. And guess what? Everyone loves a villain. So we'll see. And KD doesn't think he's a villain. Kyrie doesn't think he's a villain. I double-checked that.
Denial.
So, Voldy, what do you think?
Well, first off, we got to start off with one thing here.
Oh, New World.
Because if there's anybody that needs to know about villains, it's the New World Order. I love what Pat Bev is doing right now because, as the saying goes, if you aim for the king, you best not miss. And right now, Pat Bev is taking all the shots at all the kings, and all the king's horses, and all the king's men are going to fall for this one. I also like the comment as well, talking about, with CP and all that, with Chris Paul, quote, directly saying CP can't guard nobody. Everybody in the NBA knows that he's a cone. Give him the Ben Simmons slander as well. That was on Get Up. That is some big-time shots fired.
Oh, sure.
Because if there's anything that I've been saying for the longest time, we need guys like Pat Bev. If I could have an entire basketball team of Pat Bevs, this team would win themselves a title. I'm just saying. If not that, they're going to get some respect around, at least get under enough people's skins to warrant somebody to say something to the league and try to get them out of it. That's when you know you're doing your job right. I'm looking at all the other comments as well. If there's one way you want Pat Bev to shut up, take it to him. Go one-on-one. Work up against him. He's a defensive player. If you think yourself you're so much of an offensive player, then try and do something with it. That's what I'm looking at here with this too. I would like to see if Chris Paul's back for another season, how that matches up against the Timberwolves too. If KD and crew come through, or if the Timberwolves go out to Brooklyn and play the Nets once again, how that's going to play, if there's going to be a little something behind that as well. This is only going to prove the point that there are changes coming here with this Timberwolves group. We saw it in the, winning that play-in game with the emotionality of the situation going into that series as well, despite the fact that they blew all those double-digit fourth-quarter leads. That's neither here nor there. But, again, this is the type of stuff that I feel like any Minnesota sports franchise needs.
Sure.
They need that edginess. They need that rawness. They need that guy you love to play with, you hate to play against, because that is what is going to be a big difference maker if you want a team to build a championship around. So it's got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, too. He gets under people's skin, and he knows how to do it. And guess what? He did that with Russell Westbrook because, his comment after the game was, they haven't won anything over there anyway. It doesn't bother me. Oh, guess what? It kind of did because you were getting destroyed. You couldn't make a shot to save your life. He's gotten under LeBron's skin, KD's skin, Luka Doncic. I mean, you name it. He gets under people's skin, and guess what? He does a good job of it too. He works his tail off, and that's the main thing. And it's like, if these superstars come out and keep, throwing, just this guy shouldn't be on TV, blah, blah, blah. We'll beat the guy. Just do it. I mean,
exactly.
Just beat him. Shut him up. If that's what you're so concerned about, shut him up. Okay? But some of the guys that like KD, like I'm surprised Kyrie hasn't said anything because he always seems to have something to say too. But guess what? You're feeding into it, and guess what? You guys are the villains too. Okay, KD. A lot of people don't like KD. I don't mind KD. Kyrie, I've got a lot to say with Kyrie, but I'm gonna leave it at that. But yeah, there's if you want to shut him up, stop him. We'll see. Exactly. All right, next one, Voldy.
Yeah, we go to the world of the NFL as, a little bit of a brewing possible controversy. We know that the New Orleans Saints are in a bit of a transitionary period with a new head coach, with also the possibility of a new starting quarterback as well, which did bring up that chances are that former New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees is just having a little bit of fun with the social media post that did quote the saying that, or at least put in the frame of mind, that I may play football again when asking about his broadcasting future as well. But we don't know the situation at hand currently. I know there's a lot of things that maybe quite possibly is looking into. He did tweet out and say, despite speculation from the media about my future this fall, I'm currently undecided. I may work for NBC. I may play football again. I may focus on business and philanthropy. I may train for the pickleball tour, senior golf tour, coach my kids, or all of the above. I'll let you know. So having a little bit of fun there at the end. Who knows? Maybe there is a pickleball tour out there. Sport keeps growing rapidly around the area as well. But Drew Brees, take a year off, come back, play football. That's a bit of a common trend as of late. We saw it with Gronk. We saw the 4-month, not even 3-month rest period for TFB. And a couple other people have done the 1 year off right back into football. Jason Witten did it a couple years ago, although he did end up playing for the Raiders, so that doesn't really mean much to begin with.
Yeah.
So, but this is certainly bring up an interesting situation. Is it absurd or approved? Will Drew Brees play football again, and will it be for the New Orleans Saints?
Absurd. And the reason why I say that is because if you watched his final season, that arm gave out. It really did. I mean, and this is not me being like, well, you've always haven't liked Drew Brees. Well, I'll give you my honest opinion. I mean, if you saw his last few seasons, I mean, he could barely get the ball down. I mean, it was always dink and dunk, short passes, yada, yada, yada. The guy couldn't get the ball downfield, okay? And I don't think I think that was a post, saying, I'll let you know, stir up some stuff. But I don't think he's coming back. If he did, that would be surprising because I personally think that infamous Jameis, I can't believe I'm saying this, infamous Jameis probably gives you a better chance besides Drew Brees. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Gross.
I mean, it is evident that Drew Brees, and especially he had injuries to end his career too. We can't forget about that. We all saw what happened. You got one good year out of Favre here, and then the next year, he just broke down. It wasn't going anywhere, and whatnot. So, yeah, Drew Brees. I think I don't think he's coming back. He is not going back to NBC, I believe. I've been informed of that. So there's just a lot of changes with the broadcasting stuff. But hey, that's fine with me as long as I don't have to see his face. I'll be happy. But throw the bounty gate and all that stuff aside with him. I don't think he's coming back. I think it's absurd. Folded. What do you think?
I think it's absurd as well. He's not a terrible broadcaster. I'll give him props for that. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah,
he did pretty good with the college games, and then also with Sunday Night Football as well, with pre and post and halftime report as well. I just don't think it's logical for him to come back. Again, he's already, he's done what he's done, and like we talked about, his last season with the weapons that he did have, which was, dwindling at best. None of the big superstar guys that he had at the start of his career, really not all that much left to prove other than, being for selfish reasons to begin with. I mean, we could talk about that with another quarterback that's entering his, 20-something season in football, but again, neither here nor there.
Yep.
I just think, he's got better things for him right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's absurd that he would come back and play football again.
Yep, he's going to do something else. I think that's the best. I think that's probably the one thing that he will do. I don't think he's coming back, and also his buddy Sean Payton's not with them anymore either. And if he did come back, yeah, probably it would make sense with the Aints, but yeah, there's no way. There's just no way. I don't think he's coming back. I think this is a different situation. He's beat up, and there's no way fans or buts to it. But I've been proven wrong before. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we stay in the NFL with the ongoing saga that is Deshaun Watson, as soon to be Browns quarterback as well. Of course, seeing him in some offseason OTAs, sporting the orange and brown as well. Now, as it looks like, as NFL officials did start to meet with direct meetings with Deshaun Watson in Texas this week, as well as the league does seek to determine if he violated the personal conduct policy, and if so, what should the direct impact be of that cause as well. So we already know what's going on, but also at the same time, while this is going on, old Deshaun Watson is planning on taking some of his buddies to the Bahamas to do a little team bonding, little team exercises as well, a.k.a. have some fun, try to get everybody's good side before the hammer comes down on them all. Is it absurd or approved that Deshaun Watson will be suspended by the NFL before any court rulings or the start of the season?
Oh, it's got my stamp of approval, and there's no question about it. He had 22, 24, whatever it was, filings against him of sexual abuse and all that stuff, misconduct, or however you want to put it. I mean, I think that's a smart thing to do with getting to know your teammates and whatnot, and practicing, kind of establishing that relationship, and that's great. But let's not forget that this guy, my truth's gonna come out. Yeah, okay, buddy. But it's one thing that he, if there's nothing that if they, they're all out to get him or anything like that, then okay. But it's interesting to me that he hasn't. I mean, maybe he is playing the long game, saying I'm not going to say anything because I haven't done anything. But you would think that he would kind of keep telling people his innocence, right? He's saying I'm innocent. He really hasn't said that. But I think the NFL is going to suspend him for how long? We don't know. It depends on how the process works out and what they find. And I don't know if you can find much with the given situation, but I think there was something that went on, and I think the NFL is going to find that, and I don't know for how long. But you do have a backup with Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, isn't a bad backup to have. I mean, he's not bad. He's been pretty solid. So if they're going to suspend him, I think it would probably be, 2 to 4 games. If it's 4, it shows like there was something that went on. Or if they find something that's like just egregious, I mean, they could maybe even take him out half the year, for goodness sake. So I don't know. It's interesting to me how that's going to pan out. But I do like the fact that he's going to get, try to establish a relationship with his teammates. So, props out to him to do that. But there's still that thought in the back of your mind. Can we trust this guy? So, it's got my stamp of approval. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be very interesting. I could definitely see this being an opportunity for them to be in a, this is definitely going to lead to a suspension of some sort as well. I would definitely see this coming up as an opportunity for that to happen. How long? Who knows? Yeah. Browns put a lot of money into Deshaun Watson. $230 million contract was like 220 of it guaranteed or something like that. super max contract right there for DeshaunWatson before he even puts on a uniform or even throws a ball, because he could very well be suspended the whole season if the NFL is going to do anything to maintain the reputation of it being zero tolerance, or whatever tolerance that they have. Certainly isn't zero tolerance, I'll tell you that much. If Josh Gordon keeps getting back in the league time after time after time after time. But even with the whole bonding as well, I mean, yeah, it's good. I think Deshaun Watson's trying to play the long game on this one, with it being a large portion of his offensive weapons too, receivers, backs, I would imagine offensive line as well, to try to build that cohesiveness in the event that maybe the NFL only suspends them maybe a couple of games, or maybe if there's no suspension whatsoever, if they decide to let the courts decide on that. I could see this going either way, because we don't know anything about the NFL anymore when it comes to this. I think it's completely it's got my stamp of approval that a decision would happen. Then he is going to get suspended if any court rulings come before that.
The North remembers, says Easy A, but I don't know how that has anything to do with Deshaun Watson. I think he meant what we had before. But, I mean, with Deshaun Watson, I mean, that's fine, but I think the NFL is probably going to find something as Mother Nature, again, hits you in the eyes with some sunshine.
So
this is the second time this has happened now.
I know. The very first time was just a fluke.
Yeah, first time was just a fluke. It's still happening. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're going to keep our eyes peeled. And has Baker been traded yet? Do we know?
No, I'm assuming no news on that front is definitely not good news if you're Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to play the whole year. I mean, with the contract situation. Oh, my goodness.
I have no idea.
We'll see. All right, next one. Voldy.
All right, well, since I had to take my glasses off, starting next year, the XFL will have its regular season games and playoffs all aired on ESPN and other networks that are owned by the Walt Disney Company as part of a multi-year agreement, as was announced as of yesterday. Of course, this being the group owned by Danny Garcia and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So beginning in February of 2023 and continuing through the spring, 48 regular season XFL games, 2 playoff semifinals, and a title game will appear on ESPN, ABC, and FX, as it was revealed by Disney's upfront event as well. Now, we know that the XFL was supposed to come back this year. The ownership group with Danny Garcia and also Dwayne Johnson decided to push it off to 2023. They're into the rebranding process right now. They came out also with the head coaches, a lot of former NFL head coaches, and also a lot of interesting picks to be head coach as well. Hines Ward's going to be a head coach apparently for one of the 8 teams. You got some other names in there that were previously head coaches in the XFL in the the 2020 brand that was the XFL. They are in the midst of the rebranding as well. But looking at this with the XFL now joining forces with the Disney Corporation, Walt Disney Company as well, is this absurd or approved that this partnership will lead the XFL into becoming a power running against the NFL?
Well, since this is, I mean, it's almost lock and step with the NFL anyway, because it's The Rock, and The Rock has already made that known as well.
That's true.
But I would say, I mean, I don't think you can run up against the NFL like that, especially with the XFL. But never say never. I mean, maybe a lot of the things that they do in the XFL, the NFL could adopt and maybe, incorporate, and as well as, give guys some chances and whatnot. But I think this is going to be more enjoyable, and I also think that they need to bring back the Battlehawks. That's what I think. And, I plead to The Rock to bring back the Battlehawks, or maybe have an XFL.
My question is, where are these cities for the XFL teams going to be? Because you feel like that would have been the first a matter of business that they would have had.
Yeah,
as opposed to getting head coaches.
Yeah, I hope that they're able to hold on to a lot of the teams because I did, Battlehawks. We're Battlehawks guys, man. I mean, that's the thing, We love the Battlehawks. So I plead the Rock. Hold on to the Battlehawks, at least. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think it's absurd just because it's. I don't think you're ever going to trump the NFL because there's so much history and it's hard to take down a powerhouse like that. But if they're lock and step with each other, maybe both of them can rise together. So who knows? Maybe it's a thing for both sides. But we'll see. It's still interesting to me that the USFL is still going on. I haven't watched it down or anything like that, but factoring that in too. But I like that they have the streaming, with Disney. It makes sense because Disney, ESPN, they're kind of together anyway, so it all makes sense. But I think there's going to be a lot of cool things, and they have ownership that people that they can trust. I mean, The Rock, and as well as a partner there too. So I think it's going to work out pretty well. But going against the NFL, that's tough to do. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Quick comment about the USFL too. Remember when they announced they're going to have all these teams, and now they're playing at one stadium?
Yeah.
They're playing in Birmingham, but they're still like the Pittsburgh Maulers and the Michigan Panthers and all them. You're playing in Birmingham. It's a double header Saturdays and Sundays.
What's it about Birmingham?
It's ridiculous just because maybe next year they'll be at their own home stadiums. Who even frickin' knows if they're going to be?
Why don't they just give them some of the stadium, like U.S. Bank, just they're not using it, or, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, for some
There's
of
a few
us,
college stadiums they could probably use.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
throwing that
I don't
out
see
there.
why not. Yeah.
No, but getting back to the XFL too, I think this is definitely going to be a lot better situation than they were in 2020. Obviously, they were with ESPN. They had Fox as well for a couple of games too. And then obviously COVID shut everything down, and pushing it back another year and probably going to be a much better idea, especially with people that know branding, they know business, and they know how to, put themselves in a good position before anything happens. Because I feel like with this ownership group, with Dwayne, with Danny Garcia as well, and also the other guy, I think Gary Cardinale with Redbird Capital Partners. I feel like smart business decisions are on their part. I haven't really heard a whole lot of bad business decisions from Dwayne Johnson. Whatever he does seems to be a pretty well thought off product that he continues to work for. So I feel like this is something that is going to be smart in the grand scheme of everything. Working with Disney, this is only going to shoot them off in the right direction too, because they have obviously the traditional means of media. They have the streaming, they have the social media, they have everything at their disposal by a company that literally owns everything. Disney owns everything. Disney owns Pepsi. Disney owns Doritos. Disney owns ABC.
Fox.
They own ESPN. They own everything. Why not bring the XFL into tow?
Yeah.
And they are just going to throw that money into that dumpster fire that was the XFL and make it turn into a beautiful, beautiful cake for everybody to enjoy. So it's got my stamp of approval.
We'll see. It's we've seen it fail, and we've seen it.
Or it's going to be third time's not the charm in this case, because first time failed. Second time, well, you can't really fail if there's a global pandemic shutting everything down. But we're going to say a fail.
Well, let's not forget too that Vince McMahon and Oliver Luck are in a big. There's a lawsuit and things like that. There's, I don't know if Vince sued him. Yeah, I think Vince sued Oliver Luck for whatever,
Yeah, because he just fell off the face of the map.
Yeah, legitimately.
And that had to force Andrew Luck to come out of hiding as well.
Yeah. Easy A says you're making millions. You can state your opinion, but get over it. I feel like he's behind or something. I don't know.
He's definitely behind.
Yeah, I think he's a little behind. He's got to move
A.
up to the live part of it, but. I mean, The Rock's got The Rock can do whatever he wants. Danny Garcia
He literally can. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, that's just how it is. But, all right, last one, Volde.
All right, we're going to talk about something that I literally have no idea what we're talking about here. All I know is it's talking about Phil Mickelson, JackNicklaus, Greg Norman, and a whole bunch of Saudi Arabians. So this is going to be one interesting party that we're going to be walking into here. that's going to be awkward for everybody. So it was talking about, obviously, that some sort of a group of Saudi Arabian investors wanted to bring some of the best golfers together for their own tour, own event, or something like that. And they're going to throw millions of dollars at them, either to show up or to play. And one of the people that they wanted to be kind of the face of this golf series, I think it was the Live Golf Invitational Series, was JackNicklaus.
Yeah.
Now, this group of organizers who hail from Saudi Arabia were going to throw $100 million at JackNicklaus, but they were going to put Beverley Nicklaus turned it down, and now Greg Norman is kind of the face of everything. Of course, if you haven't seen the 30 for 30 on Greg Norman, it's pretty good on that account as well. But Nicklaus, who is among the players who were split from the PGA of America and hired by the Tour's first commissioner back in 1968, is kind of split on the fact of whether to stay with the PGA or take the money and run, basically, with this whole new tour series that is scheduled for its first event coming up in June outside in London as well.
Right.
To provide maybe more of a global stage for golf. I literally have no idea. All I know is this is something that's been talked about a little bit. All I know is Phil Mickelson's been kind of basically thrown to the wolves, and he's just kind of taken a steep nosedive. I literally have no idea what's going on. So maybe you have more. Maybe we got to get Huntley on the phone about this or something.
You might, yeah.
To talk about. You may have to. He'll have to shed more light on the situation. But looking at it right now, I know maybe. I forget the other old golfer, Tom Watson.
He's
it's definitely Greg Norman. It was definitely Greg Norman. Now I think about it, because
Nicholas. Arnold Palmer, but yeah.
Well, rest in peace, Arnold Palmer.
R.I.P.
But is it absurd to prove that Greg Norman would provide a better face for the Saudi-backed Tour series compared to JackNicklaus?
Well, I think Nicklaus would give you more of a draw just because, it's JackNicklaus. And it seems like this is a golf-centered thing and trying to trump the PGA, because I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of people that don't like the PGA, especially how they treat some of the golfers and whatnot. But then again, there's not a lot of people that are willing to sit down and watch. I know when the Masters come up, there's going to be a lot of draw. It's
don't
the
get me
Masters.
started on that again.
Yeah, we don't need to have you get started on that again. But also, they're trying to make it interesting, and I get that. But Nicklaus turned him down twice, and I think he's kind of just like, I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, I'd be kind of like, well, if you're paying that much, I'd be interested. But he's turned them down. The international series, very interesting. I think this is it's an interesting concept. There's not much I can really put on it because I'm not sure how this all works out. Like you said, probably need Hunts on the show here. But I do listen to the golf podcast, Playing Around with Paige Renee, and I think she's been talking about this a little bit too, about how the Saudi League, PGA are kind of two different things, and there's guys that want to play, and there's guys that don't want to play there, and things like that. But I really can't say much to it. But if I were JackNicklaus right now, I'd consider it. I mean, that's $100 million. That's a damn good offer. But I don't think he's struggling, and I think he's
I don't think. He's hurt for money right now, Jack.
Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no way around that one. But I would say Nicklaus probably would. So I think it's absurd. But Greg Norman still. I mean, he's taking over right now. So I don't think there's any issue.
White shark, baby, great white shark.
Great white shark. So I think he'd be.
I was wearing a Greg Norman pullover at work today.
There you go.
They're comfy. They're light. I love them.
To say. So, Voldy, what do you think?
I think it's absurd. I think Greg Norman does certainly provide a good face, but not at the same level of JackNicklaus. Yep. Now, God rest his soul, Arnold Palmer was still alive. Yeah, I think that would have been easy.
Oh yeah,
easy choice for the Saudi group to pick Arnold Palmer out of everybody in that whole group too. Not really much else I can really say about it because literally I have no idea. Maybe we'll have to have Huntley on the show here sometime run a few things with Tiger or with the Florida Gators, and obviously PGA golf all together too, just to get a few things on the right side.
Not have time for a lot of the Gators and Tiger talk, because that's going to be a long one.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we don't get Tyler Meyer started on anything either. So, whoops, shots fired.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're both in agreement. It's I think it's absurd. Nicklaus would do better. I mean, it's that simple. So, but good luck to the Saudi League, I guess.
Sure.
Hats off. Good luck. See how it goes. All right, great job, Voldy, with ARA this week. A lot of interesting topics, especially the Pat Bev one. I think that's definitely something that we're going to be posting on the socials, because I think there's a lot of people that have some opinions on it. So let's get to Shield shoutouts. A lot of cool Shield shoutouts this week. A lot of milestones. One involving one Royce Lewis, and I've got just a titch to say about that. We'll let you do the shoutouts and everything like that, but we'll wait on that for a second. All right, let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Well, we do have to mention, of course, for Minnesota Twins, a shortstop rookie, Royce Lewis, finally getting off the schneid with his very first home run in the major leagues, which was over this past weekend, and it was also a grand slam. Second only time in Twins history that a rookie has hit a grand slam for his first career home run. Last one that happened, Danny Valencia. Ugh, gross. Danny Valencia back in the day as well. I got my own feelings about Danny Valencia in general as well, but congratulations to Royce Lewis on the big milestone there. We do have to wish a happy retirement, unfortunately, with it coming down to a Game 7 decision, and thus the career for Los Angeles Kings captain Dustin Brown came to an end with 2 Stanley Cups coming into a finish for the career for Dustin Brown. He's also on Team USA back in the day when the Olympics was still prevalent for professional players as well. Did play in some World Championship teams too, but most notably winning those 2 Stanley Cups in 2012 and 2014. I want to say those 2 cups took place along with that. But congratulations on the career. And also have to give big Shield shout out to a friend of mine, Aiken Gobblers baseball coach Jeremy Jansen, who did notch his 200th career victory last night as well. And finally, if I would have did a little better planning, a little show and tell with these special shirts that were made up weeks ago, been sitting in my bag to be shown as well. If I would have been at the game last night, would have popped off whatever covering that I would have had and shown off the 200th career win shirt. But they got games coming up on Friday that I'm scheduled to be at as well for work. So lo and behold, we'll at least have that to work with. So congratulations, Coach Jansen, for the big milestone of victory for the Aiken Gobblers. That's going to do it for Shield shoutouts this week.
Awesome. Couple things before we end this off. One, Danny Valencia, I think is a good "Where Are They Now" topic. So I think that definitely can be yours. And then another thing with the Royce Lewis thing. I mean, the future's now, and I know that he got sent down. I mean, Correa's back, which I understand, but future's looking bright for Royce Lewis. So I think we're sitting good on that, and I'm happy that that's the case. I really hope they don't bite and trade him, because that would be a mistake, I think.
Yes. So
hold on to him. He's going to be good. I truly believe that. And then one other thing, Voldy, it's usually we do the same. Well, okay, thank you to all the people who support, but I need to show the Zoner something, because first of all, shout out to the Curf doctor. There is a very cool thing that he had in his at his old place in Morris with his parents, and he had some
deep in the doctor's office.
Deep in the I like that. Deep in the
deep in the waiting room.
Yeah, and there's some Viking stuff, and he was kind enough to say, "Would you like this?" And I said, "Of course." Take a look. Oh, look at that. BrettFavre, AdrianPeterson, the game where Favre returned to Lambeau Field and stuck it right back in the Packers' face and beat them I forget the score. It was like 31-23 or whatever it was. But this, I don't know where to put it, though. That's the thing. I want people to see it when I'm going. So we're going to figure that out. We'll figure that out. Obviously, you want to see the flag. You want to see the jersey we got. I mean, Favre, of course. Even though he's being sued by Mississippi, so there's that.
Right.
But still, I mean, it's a very cool photo. I'm glad that we have it, and we'll find a place for it. So just wanted the zoners to check that out, and thank you to the Curf Doctor. So shouts out to the Curf Doctor. All right, well, let's get to it. We've got merch, people. We've got stickers. We've got stickers. We got shirts. We've got hats. A whole slew of them. $20 for the hats, $5 shipping. $20 for the shirts, $5 shipping. The whole kit and caboodle. The stickers go for small ones go for $2. The big ones, of course, go for what was it again? Oh yeah, $3 as well.
$3. Yeah.
I can't find where I put them, and they're right here. But there's.
I got mine. I'm doing too much organizing.
I know, me too. I gotta actually organize my place here. So, I apologize to the zoners, but we got stickers. We got plenty of them. So we'll be. They're available.
There we go.
Here it is. Yeah, there we go. Hey, here we go. Here we go. So check out the stickers. We got plenty of them. Voldy's got some good ones, and we can give some
smaller ones.
Small ones, the big ones, the
bigger
bumper
ones.
stickers, those ones. Oh, they're fantastic. So make sure you check those out. And also, shout out to W2 Performance, Will Rattel. He's got some new videos out. www.w2performance.com. Check out what he's got going. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers. They're fantastic. Jack O'Keefe, Jack's Junkyard, still going strong. Breaking into the league, Sam Gabrielli and Ryan Martin, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Check them out. Oh, and the victorious P.O.D. We were just recently on their program.
Yeah, we
and
were.
We played a clip last week. Had a great time with those guys. There was some controversy, though, because we all picked the Vikings to win the division, myself, you, and Jack. But Walters picks the Packers, and he's a Viking fan.
Ew!
That's okay. But still, it was all in good fun. We had a great time with those guys. And we're going to talk to us with some other people, too. So make sure you keep tuned in. We've got some stuff going on, so we'll have a lot of fun. But that'll do it for episode 109 this week. It's hard to believe, next time we're on, it's 110. We're already, among that threshold. We're getting closer and closer to 200 and all that stuff. But, we still got like 90 or so episodes to go. So
Yep.
There's a lot of cool things happening.
Here we go.
And we appreciate all the love. We appreciate you guys tuning in and people that tune in later. Because there's a lot of people that tune in later and check us out too. So we appreciate you guys as well. But anyway, without further ado, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.